media. Avenatti arrested. Stormy Daniels' former lawyer charged in an alleged extortion scheme to shake down Nike for $20 million. 6 years after leaving the co-host chair.
Today is officially my last day.
Elizabeth Hasselbeck returns to The View. We're looking back at her most unforgettable moments and finding out how she'd handle hot topics in the era of President Trump. Hot topics are on the table with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
So you know who is wasting no time sort of capitalizing on the Mueller report, even though we haven't read it yet. He's attacking the media as the enemy of the people on Twitter again. And his campaign sent a letter to TV producers asking them to strongly consider keeping anyone off the air who's been saying there was evidence of collusion, calling them outrageous and unsupported claims. Now, the letter lists some politicians and some public figures by name, but, you know, when those kind of lists, enemies list is kind of out of the fascist, you know, playbook. You want to be careful with naming people the enemy of the people.
Also, then should we block White House folks that come on shows that say that, you know, alternative facts or, according to Rudy Giuliani, truth isn't truth? The White House is not in a position to tell the media what to do. There's always been this checks and balance system, which I love in this country. I think this is such a moment for a president to bring this country together, to say, this is past us. This Mueller report is now out, not all of it, but we do know that there was no collusion, according to Robert Mueller. Let's start focusing on the American people. And what we continue to see is that never happens. It's how can I double down politically? How can I help myself in this moment? And I think it's a dangerous place to be when you're attacking the media that way. Although there are a lot of questions to be answered from people in the media that need to back it up.
How could you not think there was collusion going on? We were watching him in real time. He took the word of Putin over the intelligence agencies in Helsinki. His son had a meeting at Moscow.
Let's remember that's what started all of this. He had a meeting about adopting a Russian baby, and then the story shifted.
Lifting sanctions from adoption because after the Magnitsky Act, they stopped allowing Americans to adopt from Russia.
So this was what the meeting was about. This is what we were initially told. Then it became quite clear when emails sort of showed up that they met with some Russian folks and had a conversation. So that's what started all of this with Hillary's emails. So it's not that there was no reason for people to question it, put on top of all this stuff that you're talking about. It's sort of built up now.
Also, wasn't he building a building in Moscow, and he was on television on a regular basis saying, I have no contact with Russia?
Right, because he wanted to build a tower. And I think what's interesting, and the White House is spinning it, you know, no collusion, no conspiracy with Russia. What the report did find is that the Russians indeed did interfere with our election, with our process of democracy. And that calls into question the very legitimacy of this presidency. And I know they don't want to talk about that, but that was a finding. That was a finding. And the government, you know, Mueller did not exonerate this presidency. And I think it's really odd that McConnell and the Senate blocked any release of the Mueller report to the American people. So we really don't know what is in the Mueller report.
People, we should not be putting up with Mueller, with McConnell blocking the report.
We
people
really
should
don't
be writing to their senators, write to McConnell and say, cut the crap.
We really don't know.
President Trump himself came out saying he has no problem with the Mueller report being released.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that if he's not been, I don't know the legal terminology, Sonny, I mean, you can correct me, he hasn't been exonerated, but they should prove that he wasn't a Russian spy. My problem with the enemies list in general is, it's what I was trying to say yesterday, which I guess I didn't say as eloquently as I could have, is that I think there really needs to be a really strict line, maybe even put a chyron underneath between journalist and opinion host. I am a conservative opinion host. I have an innate bias in what I'm saying. I believe in conservative values. I'm hired to give the conservative perspective. Sonny is a legal journalist who is here to give legal responses from the unbiased perspective of simply a lawyer. And I think on cable news, it gets too convoluted. When you think Sean Hannity is a journalist, that's dangerous. When you think some people on CNN are journalists and they're commentators, that's dangerous. And I think that's how we got here. And I think, again, I said yesterday, Adam Schiff is someone I would point to. When you say I have evidence of collusion, which is what he said,
Well, we were
that's
looking
when
at
I
the
start
same
having
thing.
problems.
Wait a second.
with
We
it.
were watching the same lies coming out of Trump that Adam Schiff was watching.
But he didn't have
like I said, the meeting in Helsinki.
But here's the
And
problem.
how do you explain
And
that?
by the
The
way-
stenographer's notes were confiscated. Nobody knows what happened there.
So
No
first and
collusion.
foremost,
Come on.
I completely agree that the meeting with the spy is, I mean,
That's what
alarming
began-
at best.
Yeah.
I still would have questions about the answers to that as well.
Yeah.
But I guess Mueller, who we all said was a good guy, said that, okay, that he wasn't a Russian spy, that they approached him. Listen, no Russian anyone was approaching anyone with anything I've ever done, ever. So yes, it's strange.
Yeah.
But Mueller says that he was not a spy, that there was no collusion. As Sonny continues to point out, that doesn't mean he's absolved of all sins going
And let's
forward.
see the report. And I'd like to say, finally,
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe what this administration and the American people need to focus on is the fact that the Trump administration is trying to take food stamps away from Puerto Rico. What they're trying to do is make sure that Puerto Rico doesn't get any federal assistance. Puerto Ricans are American citizens, and they're trying to cut Obamacare. They're trying to cut
Obamacare,
health
that's
care.
number one.
But why
But
doesn't
can
the
I just say,
administration
though,
focus
that
on things that are
people's
really
feet need to
affecting
be-
Americans?
People's feet need to be held to the fire, though, as well, on both sides.
Yeah.
I watched cable last night. It was like living in two totally different realities, and two different Mueller reports were released. John Brennan saying that he had evidence as well. He should be held to the fire.
Well,
He should be
let's
asked
get
by
prepared
lawyers.
about America.
Everyone who says they have evidence, we have an open door policy here. If you have evidence that
Please
goes
welcome
against
it. Yes.
what
Welcome
Mueller is saying,
to the View.
bring it
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Bring it here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, let us wait and see what else comes down from this, because this is not the end of this. There are questions people still have that need to be responded to. So, with all of that being said, we'll be right back.
You can still go shark fishing at viewyourdeal.com. We partnered with vendors to offer at least half off Lori Grenier's personal picks from Shark Tank. So get to viewyourdeal.com now.
Welcome back. So the former lawyer for Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti, was arrested yesterday, charged in an alleged extortion scheme to shake down Nike for $20 million. Now, this is on the heels of some fraud and embezzlement charges that were filed against him in Los Angeles on Friday. Now, he says he's going to be fully exonerated when the truth comes out. You know, what was your first reaction?
My first reaction is rather sadness, to tell you the truth, because here was a guy that brought Stormy Daniels to us, which informed us that Trump had paid hush money to keep her quiet about what he did with her while he was married to Melania and she was having a baby. And so it was good. I liked it. It was like, oh, good. We have somebody here who's going to tell some of the truth about this criminal that we have running the country.
Right.
So I'm sad that this is all happening now, because I know that Trump would use it against him to glorify himself and to make himself look better. So I don't like it. I don't like it.
I think it's sad what he did. The moment I first saw him on
That's
television,
sad too. There's a lot of sadness
I thought
to
he
go
was,
around.
in my opinion, he came across to me as a sleazy con artist. And I felt bad for Stormy Daniels because I thought she had an incredibly important story to tell. And I thought in that moment, this is not the right person representing you. He will take advantage of you, take advantage of the media and the American people. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen. This is all alleged.
Yeah.
But she ended up firing him. And I think it's a lesson to all of us of, like, go with your instincts on things. And I think the American people are frustrated. Like, we saw so much of this guy everywhere. And why?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you why. Because he was able to take on Trump on the same level of, what's the word, hostility that Trump puts out.
Is
That's
that
why.
a good
The
enough reason to
bombast.
give him
It was
more
one of the
screen time?
reasons.
I mean, I was I wanted to know more of the facts, you know, so I actually pulled the litigation, and I think he's certainly in trouble. He has more trouble in California than he has in New York. This is the California indictment.
Yeah.
And this is the New York indictment.
And also,
right? So, but I haven't had the chance to finish reading the California one, but I read the New York one, and I was disgusted because as an attorney, you know, you take an oath and you want to make sure that you do the best by your client. And certainly trying to extort Nike and also trying to, you know, you steal money from your clients allegedly is
two separate cases.
Two separate cases. The stealing money is New York, and trying to extort Nike is
Whoopi sees two different stories there, right?
Well, they are two different.
Yeah.
You know, one to me felt like lawyer stuff.
You mean
like what lawyers? Yeah. What lawyers do, and
if it's true, he crossed the line.
He may have crossed the line, but you know, many lawyers do. They say, you know, if you don't settle with us, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to come after your family. This is what lawyers do. So that didn't freak me out. California is really where he has the problem.
Yeah,
this is a problem. There was a point in time I can remember being in an airport, and he was on MSNBC and CNN at the same time, which is almost unprecedented that someone would have that much media attention.
Right.
He came on this show. I've talked about this on air before. I thought he was a con artist. I thought he was sleazy. There's actually a gif of me like dry heaving at something he said that's going around the internet right now that I did on air that's being sent around. This is what I didn't like about him. I also agree that Stormy Daniels had a very important story to tell. I liked her when she came on the show, and I was the biggest skeptic. Yes, she does. And I thought that I didn't understand why he was making so much money, and she was forced to continue stripping at lower level, low end strip clubs. Tour.
She liked it though.
No, I'm sorry, but I think I'm the only one at the table that has interviewed exotic dancers for a book. I believe that that's true. They work very hard.
How about I was an exotic dancer.
Well, because
I actually don't think these women work very hard.
Who work and take care of their kids.
These women work very hard, and a lot of men take advantage of them.
Yeah.
And I believe that he took advantage of her. And by the way, she agrees. She says, knowing what I know now about Michael Avenatti, I'm saddened but not shocked by news reports that he's been criminally charged today. I made the decision more than a month ago to terminate his services after discovering that he dealt with me extremely dishonestly, and there will be more announcements to come. So my instincts on Michael Avenatti ended up being the same with where Stormy Daniels.
Well, here's the thing. He came, and the reason he was on the show is because he brought Stormy. Let's not forget that.
That's true.
That's the reason he was here. He wasn't here as a lawyer for America. He wasn't here. He was representing someone that we wanted to hear from.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to remember the roots of things.
That's why he was on CNN and MSNBC.
You know, but it's important to remember.
Say he's not welcome back?
Well, I think he might be in jail.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Well, and we have a legal note. Avenatti posted a statement on Twitter this morning writing, I want to thank all of my supporters for your kind words and support today. It means a lot to me. I'm anxious for people to see what really happened. We never attempted to extort Nike, and when the evidence is disclosed, the public will learn the truth about Nike's crime and cover up. And I just want to reiterate, Stormy's story is still important. The fact that this president allegedly paid a hush payment to hide his affair with a porn star from the American people is still important.
Yeah. And with all that being said, we'll be back.
Elizabeth Hasselbeck was at the Hot Topics table for a decade of some of the wildest, most unforgettable.
And we had great fun, and I'm thrilled, as is Joy, to welcome her
She's still skinny.
back.
I saw her.
That's right. She, as the author of the new book, Point of View, Elizabeth Hasselbeck. Over there.
Hi.
Over there at the corner. Put your arm up. Say hi.
Hi, Rob.
You see Rob?
Come up here, Rob. Our director.
Love you, baby.
Love you.
And miss you.
the most action we've had all year.
Right here. Good people. I never forget it. A decade long here, and it's like family.
I tell you.
How are you feeling? I love you. Don't scare me like that again. That's
I
just
won't.
better.
I'll do it much better.
Okay.
6 years since you took this seat at this table. Weird, odd,
Coming back?
coming back.
You know what? I think when you spend a decade with anyone, I mean, when you think about it, it's between the ages of 8 and 18, right? In many ways.
Right.
And I feel like I grew up here, had babies here. It's like a family. So this actually feels really good, I have to say. And I'm thankful. God's been really good to let me come back. I'll be honest, when I wrote this book, one of the things I said was, I'll write this book, God, but I won't go back to The View to talk about it.
God works in mysterious ways.
He does. Maybe I had a little work to be done. He's like, okay, well, we're going to work on your heart as you write this book. And then I have to tell you, it really came over me like with just a joy to come back here and just be able to talk about this.
God knows that The View sells books.
Are you telling me, Joy, that you too now hear God?
Yes. Oh, don't you know? I hear it all the time.
I love you. I love that I bother you today still.
No, you don't.
You're too skinny still.
She does. No, she's always been skinny. But no, we used to fight on the air all the time.
What's that like? I don't know.
Very different.
It's a little different, but a little different. But truthfully, we never fought backstage. See, that's the difference.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Well, okay, go on to my next question.
Part of this is you guys.
Elizabeth, you did this for 10 years.
Yes.
People ask you if it's harder to be on Survivor sitting at this table. I've been here almost 2. How in God's name did you do this for 10 years? I'm serious. Being the lone conservative on this show is, I always had respect for you. When I first came on my first day, I said I wish to emulate Elizabeth.
Oh, gosh.
Because you really were the OG of this seat. You will always have, I'm sorry, Abby as well.
Right.
No, but you are a very hardcore conservative, and I've made it very clear. Like, I'm a more moderate, so that position is incredibly tough. It is.
Well, I think too, here's the thing. I think we all have unique voices, right? So no matter what side of the aisle you're on politically, like we have an innate natural voice and tone when it comes to things like politics and really tough topics, which we've taken on.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing here, and it was a joy to actually like articulate and point of view, is that no matter where you are, I think the great thing, and women take for granted sometimes, the ability here on this show to hold your constitutional right to your beliefs and your religious freedoms in one hand and hold your friend's hand in the other when they don't agree with you. And I think we don't do that for 10 years, a decade long, without having respect for one another deep down, and the idea that we have this relationship.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't, I said in the book, Whoopi and I don't think the same about a lot of things, but we love the same, and that's good. And we should be able to now, like I said, hold your beliefs, which we have a right to. Thank God in this country we have a right to those, and hold the hand of our friends, no matter where you stand on the issues. And I think you both have unique, strong voices. You all do here. When it comes to moderates and conservatives, listen, it's not easy to be outnumbered. You know that. But I do think that's okay. That's okay. Just keep doing you. Like, you're amazing at this. You're amazing at this. You all are incredible at this. So I think the goal is just to keep the conversation going, because you have to come back the next day and have another one.
Yeah,
That's right.
Right. And
About something totally different.
Yeah. So, you know, I was reading the book. I actually was reading the book.
It's a difficult read, isn't it, Joy?
No, it's not. It's easy. I was reading the chapter on when they didn't renew your contract at The View. And, you know, that happened to both of us at the same time. And 2 people arrived at our door.
Yes.
One tall and one short, like Mutt and Jeff.
Yeah.
And said the same thing to both of us.
Yeah.
We're not renewing your contract. And it was around the same time, I think, too.
Which is translation for you're fired. Let's like not write about that.
It's Spanish for you're
It's
fired.
TV for you're fired.
Right.
But in the future, we're just going to give you notice.
But your reaction was the opposite of mine, I have to say.
Yes.
You were upset. According to your book, you were had an asthma attack.
Yes.
You totally freaked out by it.
I did.
And your kids were upset. You were upset. I was happy. I've always said this. That's an interesting difference in the two of us. Maybe it's my age or something, but I was like, thank you. I really appreciate this moment. And then 2 years of very creative work.
Yeah.
So if they fire me again, I might even write a play.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is, what happened happened? Why did you take it so hard? You're a beautiful, healthy, intelligent woman
Yes.
with a gorgeous family, parents who love you. Look at them. They're right there.
Mom.
Your father looks
Dad.
very spiffy to me.
I love that.
So what was it about it that wounded you so?
You know, it's a really good question. I think where you were then is where I am now.
Good.
And I write a lot of, you read it, I wrote a lot about that process behind the scenes and what that was like for me. And at the time, I couldn't see. Like, I couldn't see beyond that. I felt probably a little prideful. You know, I felt hurt and wounded. I likely felt like, wait a minute, who the heck would want to do this job? Who are they going to get in here to do that?
It took a few hosts in between to get.
It's not easy, but I was pridefully wounded. I think that's what it was, just to be honest. And I was hurt. And
What
I
did I do wrong, you said?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do my job for 10 years, and I'm a loyal person. So I really felt, in a way, probably a dose of betrayal, which is why when I set out to write this book, I didn't know the path that God would take me on to get my heart where yours was already. You know, where I said thank you. It was probably one of the better difficult things that has happened to me, where I can look back on that time and that challenge, and it pushed me to a new place.
Good.
And it really made me rely a lot less on my own abilities and a lot more on what God can do.
Hold on 1 second. Hold all of that.
Wow.
She's sticking around.
We're back with the OG, Elizabeth Hasselbeck. I'm so excited you're here. I can't even
excited
tell
to
you.
see you.
I've been a fan of you my entire life. I'm so happy to be here with you. So things got heated at the table once in a while when you were here, and apparently more with me here. I don't know. Do you think that there is a sense that we as a country are incredibly divided? And how do you think you would handle this seat if you were still here with Trump as president? Because we are so divided.
Yeah, I think it's, first of all, I love what you're doing. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I loved you, Dad. I really
thank
did.
you, Elizabeth.
I really
Thank
did.
you.
I really have so much honor, like, in my heart for what he did for our nation. So I didn't want this day to go by without saying that.
You wore a
you know,
T-shirt for him, and he was very excited.
I made that T-shirt.
Yes, she
that
did.
was like, I made
She
it.
did,
Like,
yes.
Yes,
Yes, she did.
Great American hero. I was excited about that. Always thankful for the service to our nation. I think when it comes to the conversations here, I think that gets hot. I love the fact that we have passion about topics. I would never try to, you know, extract the passion out of the conversation, I think. And it's really what it came in point of view is if you can be just wrong enough to be right with the people to have a better conversation, because I don't think that our goal as people, I don't think God really is asking us to be more right on issues than be together. And so for me, I hope that we can get to a point as a country. And listen, I was maybe part of the problem for a while too, by holding so tight to my positions. I don't think I need to forfeit my feelings on the right to life in order to be your friend. I don't think I have to forfeit my beliefs and my belief in God and that Christ died for me on the cross in order to have a conversation with someone who doesn't believe that.
Can you believe, though, that you and I used to fight over George Bush? It's so quaint now with Trump in office.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems ridiculous.
And listen, here's the thing too. We're raising kids in this country now. I think one of the responsibilities is we have the beauty of our elections and the system. And so sometimes it doesn't go your way, but it doesn't mean you can't still raise patriots. And I think we have great freedoms in this country, and they're protected, and they allow us to, again, hold our beliefs in one hand, hold someone's hand in the other. And I think if we choose not to raise patriots and choose to raise many political talking heads, that's a mistake. And so it's my goal as a mom. Maybe I would handle some more topics with a little more grace now. I don't know. I would hope that I would.
A funny thing, I was thinking about this. Do you remember when they did the movie with the Frog Princess?
Yeah.
And they gave us dolls. And do you remember you and I had a conversation based on another conversation that we talked a lot?
We do.
Grace had been carrying the Frog Princess doll, which was a black doll, and people were responding in an odd way. And Elizabeth came in and said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I can't tell whether they're mad at me or whether they're responding to the doll. Is that what happens when you tell me this is what happens to you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I totally get it now."
Yeah.
That 10-second conversation was fantastic for me. because she heard me say something that she went back in time to say, is this what you were talking about? And I said, yes. And she said, okay, got it. Because I just went through this. And I thought, okay, this is what this show
the beauty
does.
of the show.
That's the beauty of the show.
And it's really why, like, when you think about, like, we all have our perspective. Like, when I talk about point of view, that's exactly it. Like, lining up behind the eye line of someone else to be like, how do you see this?
Yes.
You know, and I might not end up agreeing with it. I understand.
Right.
I get to a point of understanding, which is better. And I think that when it comes to President Trump, you know, I've been on record to step in and speak personally and directly to him when I thought something was off kilter. I think the best way to handle any sort of conflict is to go direct first. That's what the Bible says to do, and then take it to, you know, the people that you're with, if that doesn't work. But I think it's a matter of being patriots together, where we can have discussion without discord. We can have a debate without hating each other. We don't hate each other. How many debates do we have in 10 years?
Oh, well, a few.
Exhausting number of debates.
But we talk about our shoes and our
Above all
kids.
else, I think
Yeah.
we learn from each other, especially at this
Yeah.
table. But let me ask you this on the topic of learning from each other and speaking out and getting into conflict. Rosie O'Donnell made some comments yesterday, and she said that she had a little bit of a crush on you, and it was mutual. And it was mutual. She said it wasn't sexual, but that you played softball. And I'm not sure what that meant, but what did it mean to you?
That's the breath of the Holy Spirit. Like, please, Holy Spirit, work through me right now so I
Yes.
don't answer my own mind.
Yes.
Take a breath.
Couple things. So
Take a breath.
this is right. So, Lord help me. This is how I believe this needs to be addressed, both truthfully and maybe where I wouldn't have addressed it with some grace in years past and haven't. I will now. So, two things. One, I think what she said was reckless, untrue, and not only insulting, disturbing when it comes to how she felt about somebody in the workplace. That somebody happened to be me, but if you, what Rosie said, and you take her name out and you put in Ruben or Robert, then we would be in a situation where you would see the
Objectification.
Thank you, objectification of a woman in the workplace. And that's disturbing, because where we may be really against that when it comes from a man to a woman, you don't get a pass because you're a lesbian objectifying a woman in the workplace. You just don't.
Well, she didn't say anything about the way you looked or anything. She just said she had a crush on you. Is that the same thing? I'm just curious.
There were words in her statement that said she had intentionally tried to groom me and take me under her wing.
Does that mean
and
brush
there
your
was
hair?
I have no idea. But here's the thing. Number one, the feeling was not mutual. But I did respect her as a co-host and as a person in the office, as I think it should happen in all workplaces. But I think what we're hearing is we should be as disturbed about that in this case as we have been in the fact if her name was Robert. Secondly, I think what she said about female athletes, if you're an athletic girl and you're competitive and you're gritty, and I wore eye black and I slid into second base, and if you're a runner or a pitcher, or if whatever your sport is, basketball, whatever it is, it's a lie and it's reckless to attach a sexuality to that. And I think it's selfish on her part, and I would say it to my friend. Just because you're athletic doesn't have anything to do with your sexual preference. It just doesn't. And then third, I would say this.
Alyssa,
One more thing I would say this. I do feel like, and I would say this, I would call her if I had her number. I tried yesterday.
Did you?
I believe that above all, like, I've been given a lot of grace by God, and I mess a lot of things up, and I certainly will continue to do so. And so I feel like I have the grace of forgiveness, and that I forgive Rosie. I absolutely forgive her, because I was disturbed by what she said and I was offended by it. She has my forgiveness full heart, and I really pray that she can just have the peace that she deserves. That's my ultimate prayer, and there may be some truth tackling to be done in it, but it's not without the grace that I hope that she's okay, and I hope that she's at peace, and I hope she and I can get to a place of peace at some point, but more I want it for her than anything else. So that's all I have about that.
And we are going to be right back with the
Is because you were here and then went to Fox
Yes.
News in the morning, and I did the opposite. Now sitting here pregnant.
I've been there, girl.
I know you've got 3 kids. I'm about to have 3. How's your family doing? How are the kids? How's life in Nashville?
Life is great. Kids are all just accelerating into areas that they love, be it music or sports. And I think the coolest thing is just letting them be who they are. You know, you're kind of like shepherding them, but you're seeing all their gifts come to fruition, and that's great. And I had great parents who raised me, and Tim did as well. So I learned from the best in terms of being a mama.
Grace, how old is she now?
Grace is 13.
She's 13.
I know, it's a teens. But it's fun. I think, listen, I think we question ourselves now as kind of that generation of moms who are constantly questioning, like, do we have what it takes? And I think this is a calling, you know, it's a calling to do this. And whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom or somewhere in between, like, it's all full-time motherhood.
Right.
And the best thing to do is to lean into other moms for advice.
That's right.
Because we're in it together.
And if you have the calling to be a mom and it's not something you're able to do, you can always adopt. Children are children.
Yes.
Just saying. So we thought that it would be really wonderful to look back on some of the crazy fun moments we've had on this show with you. Take a look. Yay.
Okay.
Today is the big day, finally announcing The View's new co-host.
pregnant person. Stand up.
I was just wondering if there's anything new, Elizabeth.
Like, I'm totally 3 months pregnant.
The first time that you got pregnant,
Yes.
we said you were doing it for the ratings.
Yes.
The second time, we said you were doing it because Gracie wanted a little brother.
Yes.
This is on your own.
This is, yes. This is how you know when you've had a wild morning, getting the kids up. The kids have been sick at night, just trying to get everything, get here on time, and you walk out of the house and bring your home phone to work.
Have you gotten Christmas cards yet?
Dick Cheney, I did.
I see.
What can you curl? You can curl like I weigh $120. You can curl me.
I can absolutely curl you.
Stop, collaborate and listen. I sit back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly.
If you can't change it from the inside as a couple, I mean, how frustrating must that be to feel as though that was something that you set out to do, and now it's looking like the impossible. You know, articles are out there today saying that, you know, Michelle Obama, Elizabeth Hasselbeck are going to face off on The View, and fireworks are going to be, there's going to be no fist bumps, just the gloves are on. And
Fist bump, please.
Oh, yeah. You are an adult, and I am certainly not going to be the person for you to explain your
Everybody always loves Halloween on the show. I can't get over that.
could happen.
That made me laugh.
That was bad.
And your costumes were always
Oh, my God.
over the
That's a good
top.
one.
They were wonderful.
Oh, this
Yeah.
okay. Credit to our hair and makeup team who just make these
Yes.
transformations happen. That was one of the.
Oh, that's
wow, that was a lot. What was that last? That was.
I don't know.
That was
That one where you were in a house, you were a
I
house.
like to be in something. You know, I like to be.
Was that
protected.
Schwarzenegger?
That's good.
That was fun.
Does anybody hear a kazoo?
I did. I just heard
Okay,
it.
all right. I don't. Am I supposed to hear the kazoo?
I heard it.
No,
too.
you know what that is? It's this chair. It needs to be all.
Maybe we've got a musical thing going.
You sure it's the chair, Joyce?
This has been here since she started on the
That's
show.
Well, we have loved having you so much. Please do come back.
I hope I can sometime. It has been a joy to be here and see all of you. And I have to say, I'm a girl who likes to champion girls, and the table of the women here, it's a special one. And I just continue to encourage you too to have these great talks. It's not easy to do, and I love each and every one of you, even when we don't see eye to eye.
That's it.
I love that. I love
That's
that.
it.
Thank
Because
you.
that's the real world, right? You don't always agree with the people you know and love, but they're the people you know and love, and you kind of got to be respectful. That's all we're suggesting here. Thank you, Elizabeth, for coming back. Members of the audience, listen to me. You are going home with a copy of her book, Point of View. You will be very happy. We'll be right back.